Screen is shared. All set, ready to rock. All right, let's get the show on the road. Yesterday had a decent day, all things considered. We in the afternoon class, I had shown that I was long the dollar yen, which is one that we took yesterday when it closed above this high, which is also a trend line, and the 106 level. I had my stop 50 pips away, my limit 75. That hit for a full profitability, which is always good when we're using the 1.5 risk reward ratio. Euro dollar was a little mixed last night because I got in when it finally closed below this low, 50 pips again, kept on trailing my stop down. Ended up getting stopped out of this one. I didn't reach the full 75 pips. I ended up getting stopped out of this one for a gain of 10 pips, actually. So all in all, up 85 pips yesterday. We'll take into account the 75 pips from Monday, a pretty decent start to the week. So got that working for us, which is nice. As far as news today, let me go ahead and take you to the news today here. There we go. ADP non-farm came out at 156. That was actually lower than expectations. We do have the non-farm payroll number coming up on Friday. ADP sometimes people always consider it to be a leading indicator to the actual non-farm number, but it's never really acted as a very good gauge for what the actual non-farm payroll comes out at. So we had some mixed news. Productivity down a little bit. I mean, the U.S. dollar actually had quite a bit of negative news, but it's been holding up pretty well. For the rest of the day, other than the Aussie retail sales, we have the non-manufacturing PMI. There's no real big news out today. So don't really have to worry about, in my mind, any news, kind of trumping any of our trading scenarios here today. What we've been doing since Monday, essentially, is just trading what we see, trend and counter trend moves. We don't really care about the underlying trends. We're just basically looking to trade whichever direction the market shows us it wants to go. Yesterday we did that on both euro dollar and dollar yen, and we had some success with that. Right now we've seen a little bit of a turn in the dollar. You see the dollar stronger, at least in the last couple of days, dollar stronger versus the euro, dollar stronger versus the pound, dollar stronger versus the yen, to an extent, stronger versus the Swiss, stronger versus CAD, stronger versus Aussie, and stronger versus New Zealand. We're going to still continue on with that theme today of just keeping things really simple and looking to really trade in either direction in the market. I'm going to start off here with the dollar Swiss, kind of give the euro dollar a break for now and start off with the dollar Swiss, since it seems to be making probably the better consolidation levels than the euro dollar. It doesn't really matter if euro dollar goes down, dollar Swiss is going to go up. But I was looking at dollar Swiss right in through here at these levels, and same thing on the euro dollar. Might as well show you on the euro dollar too. Let's go in here and show you here. Doesn't really matter which one you trade, but euro dollar found its bottom right in through here. So I like the idea of shorting euro or going long on the Swiss on these breakouts for dollar strength scenarios. So I like that idea of either buying I'm going to go with the dollar Swiss. I think this one has a little bit better of a shot. Just because I think this one has a lot of room to go to the upside, but it won't really matter between the two, whichever one you choose. You can go euro dollar or dollar Swiss in either scenario. In fact, I'll just bring them both up and we'll just go over the scenario for both of them, and you can do it almost like a one cancels other order. We'll just tile these two windows together and we'll just go through the scenario. I wouldn't trade both of these, but you can certainly trade whichever one executes first. So going over here to the euro, sell entry. And if you're using PitView, do the -5 on the 1 hour total. For a stop order, you know, when you look at kind of the levels here, this is one of the reasons why I was choosing the dollar Swiss, just because the amount where the stop would be. Don't really need the stop to be, you know, too far away. You can go 50 pips on the stop. You really just want it to be above the 115 level. You could even go, if you wanted to, I mean, this was kind of the news. The ADP report came out that kind of drove the dollar up, and then it came right back down. Wouldn't the Swiss be hitting on the 9600 level? Well, if we get volatility, I don't think the 9600 level is going to be a factor. It could be, but when you look at it right in through here, you know, it consolidated right in through here at the 9600 level, but I think that if it breaks down into a new high, you know, with the correlation that it has with the euro, I don't think that that would be a factor. I thought it didn't really seem to have that hard of a time breaking down below it. It looks like this is the actual true support resistance level right around where it's at right now. 9600, little bit of resistance right up in here, but you know, it looks like this was kind of the main floor, if you will, right in through right where it's been forming at this point. It also puts up, we wouldn't have to put up as much risk on it. So I'm not, just like I'm not worried about the 114 level on the euro. I think if volatility hits on these and these continue their downward slide, if you will, they have been pretty consolidated since the close yesterday. You know, not a huge amount of movement, but if we can get another pop, if you will, I think that we can. I don't think those even levels today, for today anyway. I think if we see any type of volatility, that we shouldn't have too big of a problem. In fact, I'm going to change the stop order right in here and just say, let's see here, I'll say 40 pips, because you want it, all you want is you want this thing to be right up above the 115 level, like right above this high right in here is 115.102. So really want it just above this high. Kind of ignore this because it was more fundamental. ADP came out below expectations. It kind of popped the dollar up and then it came right back down to earth. And then to the downside, I think we can still look for limits of 1 to 1.5 risk reward. And same thing the upside here. If we get a break to the upside on the Swiss, that high price is right at the 9.95746 level. Again, I'd almost put it just right down below this level if it were to break through. Just kind of ignoring the news right in there and just putting it below the swing low. I'll just actually put the number in here. Stop 0.95400 or 00. And on this one also, I think we can look for a little bit higher of a risk reward ratio. So these would be both be, you know, really just dollar strength scenarios that we'd be looking at, which that's really what's been driving the market in the last 24 hours at least, has been dollar strength. So I like, you know, just doing basically a one cancels other order on those. So no real news from here on out to speak of on the dollar. There we go. And now that I got those up, let's kind of switch gears here, take a look at some other opportunities. For dollar weakness, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit when it comes to trading into dollar weakness today, because I want to take a look. I know it's a little off, out there, but I want to take a look at one of these commodity currencies, mainly this New Zealand right in through here. Let me, I was looking at either New Zealand dollar or New Zealand yen, but I'm going to stick with just New Zealand dollar on this, just to give us a trade opportunity potentially on the on New Zealand here. Let's see here. Maybe it was New Zealand yen. Hold on a second. One of these looked a little bit better than the other. Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry. It was New Zealand yen I was looking at. One thing I like here, I'm sorry, this really isn't dollar weakness, if you will, but I think it could be driven by it. You see dollar yen came down, found some support right down in here. It's been making some moves to the downside. This isn't necessarily a dollar weakness opportunity, but one thing that I do like here is the fact that dollar yen, here we can actually move all these things together. See, dollar yen came down, came down almost to the 106 level. Really close to it, 106.239, but looks like it found a huge amount of support here off this 106 level. Futures are all indicating down right now. And then New Zealand, just going off a little bit of a gut feel here, has been, you see how it made almost this double bottom formation. This is right near the 78.6% retracement on this. And it made this little double bottom right in through here. When you look at New Zealand yen, which is more of a cross currency, and you kind of bring that out a little bit, you see that it made, it kind of a double bottom right in through here too, kind of bottomed out. Or you could call it like a descending triangle, but right in through here we have this little, and you have a lot of bid activity, not just on New Zealand yen, but dollar yen also. So it's not necessarily a trend counter trend move that we're looking for on US dollar, but it is something that I think could be a beneficial trade for us today, should New Zealand break out of that double bottom, and should the yen make bigger strides to the upside. So I guess it would be more of a dollar neutral position, and I'll file it under that. But we see that there's a lot of bid activity, a lot of buy activity. I'd seen right when the class started that we had, here was the trend line right in through here actually. I don't think it's going to take much if New Zealand were to break out. So that's 73.695. There we go. Kind of drawn in the wrong place here. Here's where the most recent trend line was. Gotta kind of make sure you got these highs coinciding with one another. Come on, buddy. You know what, I'm just going to take off this trend line because actually what I'm going to use for the entry has nothing to do with that trend line. You know, I like the fact that it's bottoming out and there's a lot of indecision right down in here. There's a bit of a divergence right in through here between this making lower highs and lower lows, and this is making higher highs and higher lows. Having a hard time talking today. We're voicing things. Buy entry. It's already showing a +5. And the low 73.327 would be the stop. And limit. There we go. One of the things I like about long dollar yen also is the fact that futures have gone down quite a bit, and markets are down today, but yen found that bottom right in through there. And trying to, you know, we went long dollar yen yesterday looking for that kind of reversal on dollar yen. We had some success with that. So you can almost look at this as more of a risk on trade. Not that it would need that. This is more of a technical trade scenario. But, you know, I like the amount of support that's been found in here. I like the fact that it's making almost the same double bottom formation as the New Zealand dollar. So I think if it can break up into a higher high in through here, I think that it would have no problems coming up. And, it, you know, at the very least, it could come up and hit this level right up and through here and easily capture a 1 to 1.5 risk reward. We shall see, but that's one of the, we'll call that one dollar neutral. It's one of the ones that I liked for the today though. I don't want to get too aggressive today, but well, why not? Let's see here. Let's see, no email reminder this morning. I sent it. Let's see, make sure I received it. Yeah, looks like I got it, and I'll send it to myself. All right. Well, after the class is over, I'll do my tech support desk thing and see what's going on with that. So we'll call this dollar neutral. This is also would be considered like a reversal. And I like that bottomed out kind of look to it. Let's go ahead and check and see what these things are doing here. We haven't gotten it open for the markets yet. Dollar Swiss is still hanging in there. Euro dollar trying to come lower. Pound still showing some weakness in through here. And a little bit of a breakout here overnight. Got a question yesterday on when we'd start being bearish on the pound again. I think we could already be bearish on the pound today. You know, between the euro, the Swiss, and the pound, you know, another one that I had a thought process on today was here on the pound, because it came down below the 4,500 level, came right back up, and this is an intraday retracement. I'm looking at it on hourly bars, but it came up almost to the 78.6 level here and came up off of it. Not a whole lot of action here on the pound, but I like the consolidation a little bit better on euro. But as far as dollar strength goes, you know, if I were to trade the pound either way, I think I'd want to be trading it to the side of dollar strength, because the pound, you know, got extremely weak. One thing I forgot to mention yesterday was it was more Brexit concerns based on some kind of poll they did showing pro-Brexit people being in the lead or whatnot, ahead in the polls or whatnot. So, you know, you can still look to go short on the pound. But I would, you know, it came up and made that little intraday retracement. So I was thinking, okay, well, if it can come down below the 4,500 level, maybe we can give it another shot to short the pound. But, you know, I'd rather make an entire break below these levels before trying to go short again. That's one of the reasons why I chose the dollar Swiss and the euro instead of the pound today. So I'm still kind of keeping the pound on a little bit on the, I'm just kind of brushing it aside for a bit today. Let's see here. I want to check out dollar yen here real quick also. See what's happening with the euro. Not much going on there. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Here, I'll put this up for you. Sorry, I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm forgetting something here. I went directly from that euro and dollar Swiss into the New Zealand yen. Sorry, I'm a little out of it today because I'm getting that little spring allergy drippy nose thing, and I took some allergy medicine, so I got a little bit of medicine head, so you'll have to forgive me. You don't have to, but I'd appreciate it if you forgave me. I forgot to go into like our counter trend moves. You know, in this case, you know, on euro dollar, this high right in through here, I really like because it's right above 115. So I forgot to give us kind of our dollar, in this case, it would be our dollar weakness strategy, still sticking with our trend counter trend. I didn't, you know, I wanted to almost buy the euro dollar here, almost like the same situation as yesterday. I was going to make this our kind of our buy opportunity, really just trade the euro dollar in either direction. Once it, you know, whether it broke through the low or if it broke up into a high. And then that news came out and it kind of poked its nose through the fence line. But I still like the idea of going, you know, short the euro dollar or going long on the euro dollar should it break through this high. Sorry. I knew I'd forgotten something there. So I would use this high from post news as your entry, because I mean that would be a good entry point just because of the fact that, you know, it did, you know, that's where it found some resistance after, you know, the ADP is what drove that up, and it only drove it up like by like 20 pips, but I would still, instead of using that previous high that we had, because we had all this consolidation overnight, rather wait for it just to breach that high. So and then put your stop, whatever the swing low happens to be. Like right now the low is, let's see here, we'll just call this the swing low, 114.1.14857. But here's our, it's kind of making higher lows in through here, so all you need to do is just put your stop 1 pip below the swing low. And then I think we can also look for limit of 1 to 1.5 to the upside. There we go. And yes, if you're asking, you can go through the same scenario on dollar Swiss if you wanted to, if it were to break through that low. But, you know, these are going to correlate with one another. We can almost do the same thing for ourselves for euro dollar and dollar Swiss, whichever one comes first, essentially. So, yeah, so you can do the same thing. With dollar Swiss and just look to the sell side. I mean, these are highly correlated pairs. I mean, when the euro goes up, the Swiss goes up. When the euro goes down, the Swiss goes down. The actual currency pairs, when the euro dollar pair goes up, the dollar Swiss pair goes down. When the euro dollar pair goes down, the dollar Swiss pair goes up. But they are highly correlated in that sense. But since you know, since it has been such a great start to the week, I don't you know, I say this quite a bit, you know, I say it all the time really, is, you know, I don't want to be too aggressive because last week was so horrible. You know, it took a bit of a beat down, and I was able to regain just in the last couple of days all the losses, and then, you know, I'm up, you know, I think my account was at like 233 and it's at 235, so I'm up like 20 pips from where I started last week just based on the last couple of days. So that's you know, that's something that I don't want to screw with, if you will, by being too overly aggressive, because I think that's what got me into trouble last week, is just kind of being too overly aggressive in the market. So, you know, we'll just stick with the same game plan that we've had in the last couple of days. It's not, you know, this isn't rocket science trading here. This is just really just easy, you know, easy strategies to follow, just really just trading what we see. So to recap on this, either sell euro dollar or buy dollar Swiss if they break through their, either on the euro dollar breaks through the low, or the dollar Swiss if it breaks through the high. Euro dollar, you could do dollar Swiss also. You know, here's dollar Swiss. You could use the low on the dollar Swiss right in through here as your entry point. So kind of do a one, you know, one cancels other on that. I'll stick with the euro dollar on that one. And then we have a dollar neutral strategy, which I liked on New Zealand yen. Just buying it if it can break off these lows right down in here. So that's the only addition here. We're still doing kind of trend, counter trend on the dollar, strength or weakness on the dollar, whichever way the market wants to break it. And then we're using New Zealand yen as kind of a, you know, a dollar neutral type of strategy. Which would take the dollar completely out of the equation. But if we can get a reversal on New Zealand dollar, and if dollar yen does find support, you know, that could easily become a, you know, a nice little trade scenario. I wouldn't say no news today. I would say no key news today. The ADP I don't really look at as key news. We do have key news for other currencies, of course. The non-manufacturing PMI hasn't been a huge mover or shaker on the dollar as of late. So I don't look at that as key news, neither or crude oil inventories, even though they haven't marked as high impact. But yeah, other currencies do have key news. You have Aussie retail sales coming out tonight, which, Aussie lowered their interest rate the other day. So you can obviously see why we're staying away from Aussie. Nope, not going to trade New Zealand yen both ways. You can if you want. Wouldn't fault you for it, but if you wanted to trade New Zealand yen, if it broke through that low, you can do that too. I like that one just because of major, the slope on the trend line. But I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to short New Zealand yen to the upside. But I'm just going to look for the buy side of the equation. I think if we start to, the dollar's the one that I would like to be selling if it breaks through the high. So New Zealand yen, I'm just looking for the buy side of the equation on that, not the sell. I think putting up the risk to short the dollar if it breaks through the low here or the high over here on the euro dollar is good enough for me today. So yeah, that's, as you can see, when I go down here and I look at New Zealand yen, I just said buy into break of high, or the reversal, if you will, just looking for it to reverse off these bottoms. And you can see the yen starting to come up. Not really a lot of movement here this morning. Let's see, Dow just opened, so we got down. We got down 87 points on the Dow. Down, let's see here, I believe we're down about 9 on the S&P 500. The Nasdaq's down like 18. So yeah, we're experiencing some down markets here. See, the yen is still, even with the market opening down, it's still making a little bit of a recovery there. So basically, well, let's pull this back up here. Change this over to New Zealand yen. Yep, that'll about do it. That's what I'm looking for today. Just these three pairs. Euro dollar in either direction, which is to say dollar Swiss, you can trade in either direction. And just looking for that to potentially come up off those lows on the New Zealand yen. And that's it. Go ahead and pause the screen there. And we go ahead and save the worksheet. Get that saved for you. And there's your worksheet for today. That's it. Easy strategies for today, easy peasy, if you will. Definitely not hard to be focused on a day like today. I mean, these are pretty straightforward as far as trade scenarios go. I'm going to go ahead and log off here. I'll try to look into the oh, what was it? The email confirmation or the email reminder here after class, and I will chat at everybody later. So thanks for coming in, everyone. Bye-bye.